Sedokan. Sedokan was one of the inmates during the third phase. They were going up a tower, right? And then they had to fight against these inmates. If the inmates won, they would get, their crimes excused, or they'll get time off of their sentences. If but like if they won, right, they'd get time off of their sentences, and then the hunters would then have to, stay in a waiting room for a while. If they won, or like if the other people won, uh, they could get a shortcut to like the next phase and get there before everybody else if they won against these inmates. But Sedokan was one of these inmates, right? This guy had a candle, and he was like, okay, now the competition is, whose candle will go out first. It's like, pick a candle. One of these candles, right, is burning faster than the other one. I think Going Freaks picked the one that was like bigger. So then, like it, because he thought that the bigger one would like burn slower, or there was more wax to be burnt, right? So then he was like, okay, well, this one actually burns, slower than the other one, because guess what? This kind of wax is different than that kind of wax. I think that's what it was, if I remember correctly. But Going Freaks went out and blew his candle anyways. And then Going Freaks won that match. This guy was like, damn, I'm trying to get time off. He couldn't get time off. This guy wasn't that powerful. That's why he, suggested that type of, game to be played between him and Going Freaks. I don't know what he was there for, but he was just one of the inmates that had to go against Going Freaks as his team to slow them down for some time. But Sedokan, this guy, his strength's at 80%, 82 for his speed, 80 for his durability, 81 for his endurance, 83 for his intelligence, and 85 for his uh, 83 for his intelligence, 85 for his experience, 81 for his close skills, and 80 for his range skills, 80 for his recoup, and 81 for his attack. So overall power score for this guy is 81.3, and that's Sedokan, the guy who brought candles out against Going Freaks and was like, "Hey, I bet my candle can outlast your candle." Going Freaks went out and blew it out like a birthday cake, and he was like, "Man, I actually, my candle was actually the one that stayed lit longer." Be cool, call on the corner.